Well, all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. It is your buddy CJ here, and tonight we're talking about all things automotive industry, the car guy hobby, cars, all the things that them real gearheads love talking about. Real gearhead talk. This is the place to be, guys, for that real gearhead talk. Welcome back, everybody. All my subscribers, you know I'm grateful to each and every one of you. If you're new, give me a like and subscribe. Around here, we talk about cars and the automotive industries and automotive events, exotic cars, supercars, muscle cars, all of the above. And we just have a great time doing it, guys. Listen, appreciate all the growth and interaction around the channel. And we've got some big announcements coming. I'm not going to make the big announcements tonight, but I got a big announcement coming. I'm so excited. You know, your buddy CJ gets excited. I've got a big announcement coming. But listen, tonight, let's get excited talking about the 1994 to 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. Are you kidding me? Come on! The return of the muscle car in the most unusual, unpredictable way in the middle of the 1990s. Okay, 1990s were a bizarre decade. For those of us who lived through it, let me tell you something. I see the 90s as like a transitional period in so many ways. We had Nirvana playing in the radio, okay? We could still rent videotapes and DVDs. Blockbuster was still a thing, right? MTV was still playing some music, although showing more shows, which is a whole other thing. I should do an episode on that. But in all seriousness, 1990s were certainly a transitional period for the automotive industry. The continued rise of the imports, okay, whether that's Japanese cars, European cars, so on and so forth. Detroit had given up tremendous ground in the 80s. Forget about it. Let's not even talk about the impact of emissions, okay? And air pumps, smog pumps, catalytic converters, stifling our precious, beloved V8 big block, or even our small blocks, 350 cubic inch, right? Putting out 300 horsepower. Well, a lot of those engines were choked in the late 70s to the 80s. I digress. Let's go to the 1992 Detroit Auto Show. Let me tell you something, guys. If I could go back in time to an auto show, I think I want to go back to the 1992 Detroit Auto Show. And I'll tell you why. The centerpiece at the 1992 Detroit Auto Show for Chevrolet was this: the Chevrolet Impala SS concept car. Now, this is coming out of the early 90s, guys. 1992 Detroit Auto Show. And Chevrolet puts this thing on display. Based on the Caprice platform, okay, which was B-body vehicle known for police cars and family cruisers and maybe your grandparents' car, here comes the Impala SS concept. Not with a 350 cubic inch Chevy V8, but with an 8.2 liter Cadillac V8, 500 cubic inch. Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something, guys. This thing was a big hit at the auto show in 1992. Detroit. Are you kidding me? The return of the big, heavy American muscle car. Can you imagine this car with an 8.2 liter Cadillac V8? Pass anything but a gas station? Let me tell you something. Guys, the blacked out look, the mag wheels, the alloy wheels, the whole thing. We didn't get this into production, but we got it pretty darn close. The successful reaction and reception from that 1992 Detroit Auto Show debut of the Chevy Impala SS concept car was so good that this car went to production very similar to what we saw at the auto show. So let's take a look at what we got in 1994, just 2 years later. Guys, in 1994, Chevrolet took that concept car, that Impala SS from 1992, and brought it into production. Are you kidding me? You know what I love about this thing? I love cars that are disruptive and kind of come out of nowhere, and really shake things up in the industry. Just when we think we know what's going on in the automotive industry, boom, Chevrolet brings out the 1994 Chevrolet Impala SS. Are you kidding me? How sinister. You could have it in any color you wanted as long as it was black. And these things were mean and cool. Let me tell you something. What did you have under the hood? That's what this is all about. We're talking about the 5.7 liter small block 350, which have been a staple for performance cars and muscle cars and all kinds of vehicles for years with Chevrolet and General Motors. But this was a special one. This was the LT1, and basically a derivative of what was in the current generation Corvette, the C4 Corvette. The main difference, it was slightly detuned. If you know your Corvettes, you know that the LT1 in the C4 Corvette had aluminum heads. In the Chevy Impala SS, we had cast iron heads. A few other differences, different camshaft. This thing was putting out about 260 horsepower, about 330 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so maybe in the modern era of 2025, that doesn't sound terribly impressive. But guys, this was 1994. Okay, we're talking 30 years ago. It's a big deal. That sinister styling, the 17-inch mag style wheels, those alloy wheels, the blacked out appearance, the cool Impala SS badge, okay, and that Impala logo. This thing had presence. The 1994 through 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS had street presence. You felt this car when you saw it. This car generated a reaction with car guys, okay? I liken this car to the Buick Grand National. She's mean, she's sinister, she's big, she's got an unusual power plant for something like this, and some performance under the hood versus just being a gigantic boat. Now, there's more to the Chevy Impala SS. The underpinnings were largely based on the Chevy Caprice, okay? Also the Buick Roadmaster. But for the Impala SS, beyond that power plant and the dual exhaust, right, you also had the police law enforcement package. Suspension, four-wheel disc brakes, okay? Some other goodies, shock absorber springs, some additional cooling, okay? You had the 4L60E transmission. Let me tell you something. These cars were slightly lower. They handled better than a regular Caprice. They sounded better. They had better performance. Guys, this thing brought back the muscle car era in the mid-90s with a different twist. It was disruptive, and they were successful. Guys, let's keep going. Let's look at a couple of other things. And by the way, I do want to mention 308 gears, limited slip differential. I mentioned the four-wheel disc brakes, the dual exhaust. By the way, that Caprice underpinning, the specific package for the Caprice, the Chevy Caprice, for law enforcement was known as the 9C1 package, okay? And included that sport suspension and some other things. Coupled with that, basically, Corvette engine under the hood, slightly detuned. It's a bad machine, a very cool machine. Guys, these were priced at about $24,000 to maybe $25,000, $26,000 MSRP, depending on options. That first year, 1994, you could only get it in sleek black. I want to show you something. Let's talk about the other colors, guys, and leave me those comments. Let me know what you think about the Chevy Impala SS. Also available in 95 and 96, I believe, in this cherry red color. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this. I think if you have this car, you have to get it in black. Chevy Impala SS, 1994 to 1996. Real talk, they have to be black. That's the right color. Now, having said that, The cherry red is kind of cool, I gotta admit. That would be my second choice. Um, production numbers say that black was by all means the most popular color. But the cherry red was kind of cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We'll keep going. Let's take a look at the third color, which I'm not a huge fan of. You guys tell me what you think. Can we all just agree that the Chevy Impala SS in the gray green, this is not the right color for this car? Listen, I've seen a lot of them in this color, and I know it's the rarest color, perhaps. Well, there's a reason it's the rarest color. Just because it's the rarest color doesn't make it the coolest color. Like when I see this car in this, they call it gray green, I believe, but to me, it's like a tealish blue. Okay, that's how it looks to me in the light. Maybe it's my eyes. You guys tell me what you think. And I'm not hating on them. I still think they're very cool cars, but I got to have this car in black all day long, all day long. It just lacks that sinister look. And they are still fantastic. They're still mid 1990s disruptive muscle cruisers, no doubt. But guys, I got to tell you, this car, you got to have it in black. This gray green, not for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. By way of production numbers, 1994, they produced about 6,000 of all things, guys. And this is going to sound crazy. The car was a success, right? But apparently there was a shortage of the alloy wheels, so they couldn't meet the demand due to a shortage of wheels. I mean, come on, you could have put some Kragers on it and sold more. 1994, they produced about 6,000. 1995, about 21,000. In 1996, that was their banner year at about 41,000. Let's look at it again together. After 3 very successful years of growth in sales for the Chevy Impala SS, 94, 95 to 1996, it was gone. As fast as it came, it was gone. Going from 6,000 units to 21,000 units year 2, 41,000 units in year 3. That's not a bad story, right? So why did it disappear? What killed the Chevy Impala SS 1994 to 96? The SUV. Guys, tastes were changing. And I hate to say that, but it's true. Much more profitable demand and profitable growth for Detroit and for other automotive manufacturers was coming from the SUV, the Ford Explorer, the Trailblazer, the Suburban, you name it, right? Listen, tastes were changing. So while this really cool, disruptive, sinister muscle car cruiser came out and caught the attention of so many car guys and gearheads, and it harkened back to that 1960s, 1970s era, the times were a-changing. As I said, 1990s were a transitional decade in the United States, across the globe, and specifically in the automotive industry. So this car sort of fell victim to that transitional period. And as fast as it came, and as much sort of flash in the pan success that it had, it was gone. And Detroit started producing a lot more SUVs. And here we are in 2025, and it's still the land of SUVs. Come on, guys, let's keep going. One of the cool things about this car that I also have to mention is this ad campaign. Who remembers this ad campaign from the Chevy Impala SS? Lord Vader, your car is ready. Just saying that this was Darth Vader's car. And I think this was a throwback to when Buick with the Grand National had something in the media about Darth Vader's car, or one of the journalists said that the Grand National in its sinister black was Darth Vader's car. Well, Chevy capitalized on that, so the legend goes. And I didn't see this magazine ad back in the day. Let me know if you did. I think this came out in like 94. If you have a copy of this, let me know. Kind of cool, right? Lord Vader, your car is ready. So, think about a car guy in his 30s or 40s at the time who maybe had a few bucks, right? Or even older in his 50s or early 60s, whatever. And this car comes out, and it's like the bridge, right? The bridge between the 60s and 70s muscle car era. Let's not talk about the 80s and the 1990s. The other fascinating thing about this car, guys, I want to talk about is it was built on that Chevrolet B-body platform, which was used for decades and decades by General Motors. This is a body-on-frame design, like a real heavy-duty car. This design goes back to like the 1920s, I think, in the foundational sense, but it was used in the Impala since the 1970s. So isn't that crazy that in 1994, 95, and 96, they're still producing cars with this basically ancient platform, but it was still great and still functional. They don't build cars like that anymore. Guys, in terms of performance, the Chevy Impala SS 94 to 96, we're talking about 0 to 60 in about 7.5 seconds, and we're talking about a quarter mile in about 15 seconds. Now, that's not going to knock anybody's socks off in 2025. Of course it isn't, right? But context is everything. And the Corvette from that era was probably like, 5-ish seconds, 0 to 60 in the fives? So for a full-size four-seater with a massive trunk, 4,200-pound vehicle, maybe 4,500-pound vehicle, your Impala SS wasn't doing too bad. The Corvette was probably doing around 14 seconds in the quarter mile, in the 14s, maybe 13.8 on its best day, non-ZR1. So, the Impala was still a blast to drive. It had a street presence, a street credibility, and unfortunately, it came as fast as it went. We talked about that. Transmissions, the 4L60E were known to fail, not just in the Impala SS, but also, for example, in the Caprice with the towing package and the LT1 engine. Those were known to fail at about 100,000 miles, which a lot of things were failing at about 100,000 miles back then. It was just a different era, and certainly coming out of that malaise era of the 70s and 80s and some of the poor quality issues. But listen, these things have really come into their own. They are desirable on the collector's market. Now, the thing I can't stand seeing with these cars is when people over-modify them. They got to put the donk wheels on them. They got to LS swap it. They got to build the heck out of the engine. Listen, I'm an automotive enthusiast. I've modified cars over the years, but can we please save the remaining Chevy Impala SSs and keep them stock, people? I just love to see these cars stock. If I buy one, and I'd like to buy one, if you have one for sale, hit me up. I want to buy it, but it's got to be black. Got to be black, and it's got to be stock. She's got to be bone stock. Just really cool cars, guys. And I wanted to come on here tonight and talk a little bit about this car. I love cars that were disruptive, whether it was the Dodge Viper or the BMW i8. You pick it, right? Just cars that are so out of left field and so different, right? And kind of unforeseen and unpredicted and ahead of their time in many ways, or maybe a bit of a throwback. I love that. I think it's cool. And if you're an automotive enthusiast, you probably feel the same. Well, guys, that about wraps it up. Leave me those comments. Let me know what you think about the 94 to 96 Chevrolet Impala. Did I miss anything? Do you have one? If you have one, tell me all about it. What do you think are other competitors to a modern era muscle car that came out when we didn't see it coming? There are other examples. I want to hear from you. I claim this is just about the undisputed heavyweight champion of disruptive, unforeseen, cool, modern era, mid-1990s anyway. Believe it or not, I'm calling that the modern era. Muscle cars bridging the gap to the good old 60s and 70s, the original muscle car era. Guys, give me a like and subscribe. Leave me those comments. Your buddy CJ loves you and appreciates you. And until I see you on the next one, peace.